Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So happy to be with you today. Today we're going to be talking about Amburana, right? So Amburana is a specific type of wood, well specifically oak, that comes from South America. It's often referred to as Brazilian oak. So Amburana is big, it's bold, and it's a trend. So in the whiskey world, especially the bourbon world, there's been a lot of Amburana finished bourbons that have been hitting the market in 2023. The question is it going to continue into 2024? Because it has been very trendy, and a lot of these distilleries have really made a name for themselves, really just riding on the backs of Amburana finished products. I have one such bourbon with me today. This is from RD1. This is their Amburana finished bourbon. Thank you, Jeff Fortier, by the way, for the sample. Earlier on the channel, we covered the Amburana finished rye from Starlight, which I thought was exceptional. And that one was sent to me by Matt Warren, another one of our patrons. By the way, if you ever want to send me anything, feel free to do so. I love getting samples from you guys and seeing what's on your shelves. A lot of you guys, especially in our Discord, will send pictures of your shelves and your collections, and then you'll send me samples of some of the things that you love, and I'm really appreciative of that. Thank you so much. If you want to check out our Discord, check the link in the description. It's totally free. Also, if you want to join the Patreon, we have lots of different tiers there, even starting at just $1 a month. So really appreciate all of my patrons as well. Man, Amburana is potent. Let's talk about it. So first, let's talk about what Amburana brings to the table. And then we'll talk about this year in review, what bottles really stood out with the Amburana finish, and what has been the bourbon community's sort of reception of them. Let's talk about those three things. Amburana, like I said, is a species of oak in South America, and it lends itself to very, very specific flavor profiles. I'm talking lots of cinnamon, mapley sort of flavors. Think French toast, you know, like French toast crunch is really what I think of when I smell anything Amburana. In fact, on my recent trip to Kentucky, one of my buddies who met me there, he brought a bag of Amburana wood chips because they were given to him by a guy in the industry who was like, hey, if you just put some of these in your bourbon bottle, you know, grab a bourbon bottle off the shelf, something mid-shelf or low shelf, throw some Amburana chips, and it will just completely change the whole bottle. Let it sit for a few weeks. And so we busted out some of those chips and just smelling them. So like, holy cow, dude. So potent. There's so much going on in Amburana. Amburana is, bourbon is not the first industry to really say, hey, let's leverage this stuff. In fact, cachaça, which is kind of like rum, but cachaça is like the national spirit of Brazil. And they've been barrel aging cachaça in Amburana barrels for a long time now. And if you've never had a chance to try it, like try a caipirinha, which is like the national cocktail of Brazil. Try caipirinha made with Amburana finished cachaça, Amburana aged cachaça. It'll blow you away. It is something to behold. So yeah, bourbon, we weren't the first ones to get a hold of this stuff. But let's talk about how people have been using it this year as something else. As a cinnamon bomb. Just absolute cinnamon punch to the face, you know? Now that comes from RD1. Let's talk about them for a second. So, since Amburana is so big, so bold, and there's tons of flavor in it, what it has done is it has given a select few distilleries who sort of caught on to the trend early, it gave them a leg up on the competition. It gave them the means of breaking through into the industry and really making a name for themselves. Why? Because you can have young whiskey that's not even your own, and you can just put it in an Amburana cask, or in their case, don't even do that. You're just going to take staves from an Amburana barrel, and you're just going to dip them in your whiskey and just let it finish that way for a little bit. And it's just going to completely overtake the whiskey with flavor. And so you can hide the fact that it's young, not your own, you know, it hasn't really been finished for very long. So you can basically get an Amburana product out the door very quickly. And that's what RD1 has done. Now, they were early enough that people bought the bottle, loved the bottle, because what Amburana brings to the table is tons of flavor. And what they're really enjoying is Amburana itself, not necessarily the fact that this is just 4-year-old straight bourbon sourced from Kentucky. They didn't even distill it, which is no shade, by the way. A lot of people don't. I mean, Penelope, that's MGP. Penelope is, you know, very widely accepted as wonderful stuff. But the point is, with Amburana, you can have a product on the shelf that is extremely flavorful, but at the same time didn't really cost a lot of investment from you up front. So RD1 was early enough to get a product like that out there. And so now RD1 is on people's minds. I've seen since this bottle came out, a lot of whiskey channels themselves have been doing, here's the full core lineup from RD1. And I'm gonna have another video this week, I think this week, if not next week, where I'm gonna talk a bit about the craft distillery problem. Some of the hurdles that they face and things that they have to do in order to get their name out there. And I'm gonna use RD1 as a bit of a case study alongside some other craft distilleries because of the way that their journey sort of happened and unfolded. But yeah, so a number of other distilleries have done the Amburana thing. Penelope, like I just mentioned, they did their whole Rio. That bottle hit shelves late summer, I think, midsummer of this year. I was not fortunate enough to get a bottle. It's hard for that stuff to make its way up to Michigan, and you just kind of have to be in the right place at the right time, and I was not. I was nowhere near a store anytime that those messages came through on my bourbon clubs, or people like, Rio here, make sure they got 5 bottles out right now, go get them. I was never quick enough or in the right place at the right time to get one of those bottles. If you got one, hey, let me know. I'd love to try it. But I did get to try both Starlights, their bourbon and their rye. I thought Starlight's rye was killer. I'm going to be honest with you. The RD1 doesn't really hold a candle to Starlight's. Part of that could be the fact that they used full barrels. They didn't use the stave finishing technique. And also they make their own whiskey. So that's all their own Starlight distillate. So if you like Starlight, which I do, they bring a lot to the table there. But that bottle just absolutely blew me away. I thought for the price point especially that was so much flavor, and it was actually really well rounded out with it being a rye instead of a bourbon. Because you got the cinnamon, spice, sweetness, but then it was offset as well. It was very well balanced out by sort of that more mature rye notes that you would get. A little bit of pepperiness, a little bit of yellow fruit in there. And I thought those played with each other so brilliantly. But this is still really good because I like Amburana. But what about next year? I'm already seeing a lot of posts on forums, videos posted by other YouTube content creators in the whiskey world. And a lot of them are saying, listen, Amburana is one note. And so any whiskey, this is what a lot of people are saying, any whiskey, whether it's 6 years, 4 years, 2 years, 10 years, any whiskey that's finished with Amburana, the Amburana takes over everything. So every product that's Amburana finished all tends to taste very, very similar. And so it's like once you've tried it, you've tried them all. And so a lot of people are predicting that Amburana is going to fall off as a trend. Now, I'm inclined to agree to a certain extent, but I don't think that drop-off is going to happen so quickly. One of the things you're going to notice is a lot of the major distilleries are not jumping on the Amburana bandwagon. I think that's because they know that that's not what people want from them. I think they know that this is really a craft distillery kind of a trend, because it's a way for craft distillers to immediately jump up to a certain tier of quality that Amburana provides. So if you exist beneath that tier, you're not very well known, not very well established. The second you create an Amburana finished product, you're going to jump up to that Amburana baseline. A lot of the well-established Kentucky distillers already exist above that baseline that Amburana provides. And a lot of the products they're putting out there are better. But for the distilleries, the craft distilleries trying to make a name for themselves, I think they're going to continue to put Amburana products on the shelf because it is a quick track, right? It's like the shortcut to getting to that baseline that Amburana by itself provides. So I think that in 2024, especially with things like RD1 that experienced some success with the Amburana, I think Starlight as well. I'm not sure if Penelope will continue to do it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But I will say that I don't think the trend is going to continue to grow. I don't think the well-established, heritage distillers are going to jump on that train anytime soon. But I do think in 2024, we'll see even more craft distilleries try to get an Amburana product out there on the shelf just so that they can experience that, like RD1, that quick jump to that baseline. So there you have it. That's Amburana, where it's been, where it's going, and predictions for the future. Let me know if you've had any Amburana products yourself and what you thought about them. Let me know if it really stood out to you, if it was something that you enjoyed, and if you'll continue to purchase Amburana finished products or not. I think for me personally, I'm going to stay picky. My guess is that I will probably only buy Amburana finished stuff from Starlight until somebody else gets a product out there that gets rave reviews. Until then, I think I've experienced what Amburana can bring to the table. And I'll probably want to keep what Starlight had on my shelf because I thought that those flavors did complement one another, while everything else that I had that was Amburana finished was basically just Amburana and what Amburana brought. I thought Starlight did a really good job of meshing what they have with what Amburana can contribute to. But cheers! Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like on it because that's the best free way to support the content here. Helps it get out there in front of new people so we can experience more growth and reach new audiences. Thank you so much for your viewership and support. I really do appreciate it. Thanks to my patrons. You guys are amazing. Love you. Appreciate you. Cheers. May you live richly and get better with age. And we'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.